Yo, what is good, my quick crypto family and my coin factory family? Back again with another daily Casper and crypto live. I apologize for being half an hour late, as I tend to do very frequently. I had some technical difficulties, but we are back every day as usual, and the markets right now aren't looking the very best, and that's partly because Bitcoin is coming down a little bit today. It's still trading above 96k, which is reassuring. But I think it's also in anticipation for what is coming out next week, which there are a lot of things happening next week, a lot indeed, from the FOMC meeting to also stuff that Trump is doing as well. And equally, people I think are just getting a little bit bearish, maybe a little bit burnt out. The way the title states, Trump's about to crash the market again next week. There is a possibility, in my belief, based on historical data and based on what is incoming, that we may see another pullback in the markets. So just keep in mind that. Either way, next week is still going to be extremely big for Casper in regards to what they're bringing out. We've got some updates in that regard as well. You know, the 10 BPS stuff, and equally, we've got some more stuff that has been working behind the scenes that seems to be coming out to light now as well, which is really, really cool. Seeing more stuff being built on Casper as well. So if you enjoy these streams, as always, feel free to leave a like, share with your friends, subscribe for more, you know what to do. And if you want to learn about crypto and Casper even more so, check out the free Discord server, links down in the description, also on my YouTube homepage as well. And welcome back everyone once again to the Quick Crypto channel, Quick Crypto family. Eternal brother, Magnus, hey brother, hope you're doing very, very well. You too, Eternal. I can't click on fur for some reason. There you go. Welcome back, my man. Hope you're doing very, very well. Dimitar, Casper to the moon in due time, 100%, my man. Buffalo, welcome back, brother. And you too, Crypto Gosu. Hopefully you're all having a very, very good day today. And everyone else who is just tuning in right now, welcome back and having a very good weekend so far, I hope. That being said, let's get into the content. So we can see right now Casper is currently down 6.11% on the daily time frame. From the looks of it, people may clarify this as a double top. I would argue it's probably not a double top here. Didn't go as high, but we are seeing Casper right now struggling and fighting with this whole, 11-10 cents zone right now. And one thing to take into account as well when you're looking at TA, looking at markets, is one very common pattern you tend to see when an asset makes its run upwards, you see an ABC correction. So if I draw out the ABC correction part here, it's come up here, you'll see A, B, C come down to wherever the next bottom for it is. And then typically after that, you start seeing it go up as well in values. So it could be a possibility, especially what's coming out next week. And of course, big news for Casper in regards to 10 BPS, but with Trump and what he's about to release, you may see the whole market have another pullback. Casper therefore coming down a little bit more, which would be frustrating, of course, but at the same time, for what's coming out for Casper, I have no doubt it's going to do very, very well. So I'm going to take the opportunity to scoop some more Casper up at the dip if it does come to fruition. Bitcoin right now is still trading above 96k, which is good. It did touch that zone earlier today as well. And it's a possibility we may see it come back. For me, I'm hoping Bitcoin stays above 90k. I think worst case will probably be 86k. But I think for the most part, the worst is over. I will be very shocked if Bitcoin or crypto comes down further than it did back here into the 70k zones again. And Casper in that regard coming back as far as 5 cents. I do not see that happening. For me, Casper will probably come down to 7 cents worst case. But I think Casper right now, I want to believe it's been confirmed now that we're now in a bullish trend for the most part. Of course, for me, we need to break above 11 cents for it to be confirmed in my eyes, truly confirmed. But right now, this is a very strong breakout, breaking this lower high I've been seeing here, and now it looks like we may see a bigger pullback, but as long as we don't come below here, we stop somewhere around here, that'll be a higher low, and that'll be also an indicator that we're going to start making a gradual move back up again. Still early doors, still a lot to take into account, and we'll get back into all of the market analysis and stuff later on in the stream. We're going to get into some of the crypto content first and analyze why the markets are correcting, and potentially also what might happen next week as well. Welcome back, LB Crypto Brother. You're doing very, very good. Checking in. What's up, my man? Casper to 25 cents end of May. 25 cents end of May is not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. I mean, it seems like quite a massive run up. Seeing it be breaking all-time highs, by here. I'm not saying it's not possible. It does seem like a little bit steep in my personal belief, but again, we've seen how quickly crypto projects can just rally in price very quickly. I don't think 10 PPS in itself is going to be a price rally. So if you get some very good other developments, like let's say stable coins, like Tether or Circle launching on Casper, that will drive a lot of FOMO. If you get some more leaks or maybe even confirmation of a listing, that'll be very, very good for Casper as well. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, I'm hopeful and optimistic we'll see Casper return to all-time highs before July. So by June. So it's not worst case. I want to say, not financial wise, I want to say in June we'll see Casper return to all-time highs, based on the M2 supply and based on the other factors as well. But more corrections, I think, are on the horizon, and we're still ultimately at the hands of the Federal Reserve, waiting for them to start cutting rates and printing some money. Welcome back, Tony, brother. Hope you're doing very, very well. I will say Casper actually holding much better compared to many top 50 coins right now. Casper has been doing I think because Casper, for the most part, has most definitely been pricing at the bottom right now. So for the most part, Casper has less, pullbacks available to it, as opposed to other projects which have a lot more. As you look at Sui, for example, Sui had a very nice run up, but, by and large, Sui had the potential to still come back quite a bit from here. Whereas Casper comparatively has a lot less room, I'd like to argue. But yeah, Casper is holding up quite well, which is good to see. Well, it's coming down 6%, not ideal. But again, these sort of pullbacks are expected. You can't just expect green candles all the time, because if you do, you've got unrealistic expectation. You've got to change that mindset. Things go up and they come down. Ultimately, for me, Casper in the long run is going up. It's had a very, very long pullback, but the bottom seemingly now has been priced in. Double bottom here. So now it's going to be time to make that run back up again. Well, Sui's getting destroyed. Yeah, Sui's not doing very well. Currently down 3.26% on the daily time frame. It did very well having that 2x run up from the similar time frame. Casper, Tau, and Sui all started rallying from the 7th of April. So 2x in Sui, which Sui has got $11 billion market cap, 10 billion market cap. So it's a much bigger asset. And you saw a 2x, which is very good for Sui in that regard. Of course, the VC backing and the insiders helping that project rallying higher, but did very, very well. And now since then, it's seen a pullback of 20%, 15% or so. So it's coming back a little bit. I do expect Sui to come back a little bit further, but how much further? We'll have to wait and see, obviously. Have to wait and see. Welcome back, DD Bro. Doing very, very well. And you to the jam. Casper's going down, yes, but again, don't be emotional, be logical. Things are going to go up, things are going to go down. Right now, we're in a Bitcoin dominant market. Once more, Casper's going down, not because Casper's bad, because Bitcoin and crypto is going down, and the dominance is going higher and higher and higher. Last cycle, remember, we saw Bitcoin dominance reach as high as 73%. So there's still more room for dominance for Bitcoin to rally up higher. I mean, it can go technically to 100%, but historically speaking, Bitcoin dominance can still rally up higher, but still waiting for regulatory frameworks and so many other massive catalysts for crypto. So with Bitcoin dominance being so high, even with a 0.5% correction in Bitcoin, alts bleed a lot more. Sui down 3, C down 4, Tau down 4, Casper down 6, Vulcan Forge 4, Myria 12, Ultra 6, XLEM's only down 0.5%, but you've got Algorand, so all of the assets are down quite considerably in comparison to Bitcoin, because again, Bitcoin is a much larger market cap. It's got over $1 trillion, whereas these in comparison have a few billion. Tau actually holding quite strong. I mean, yeah, Tau also is not doing too bad as well, holding around $360 right now. And I think Tau also, similarly to Casper and Sui, had a very similar run. 7th of April, coming up 2x, doing very, very nice, and had a very small correction since then. It's been holding strong at the zone right now. Pullbacks are expected. I'd love to be wrong, and there's a chance I am wrong. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but based on what I have seen, based on what we saw in late January to, not late January, from late January to April, or to February even. I mean, Tau actually did okay in that time, but look at Casper and look at Sui. These assets in a similar time frame bled. And they bled because of Trump and his Trump coin. So before I get to more of the questions, I will be getting into the sources and news first off. So to start off with, breaking news here from Crypto Beast. Trump's World Liberty Financial Institution, WLFI coin, is apparently going to be launching next week. This individual here said we're going to make so much money. I made 108x profit off Trump and we'll do it again. I mean, if you look at Trump, right, there were possibilities there. If you knew about it early, and you know, capitalize on that opportunity, then yes, you could have got into that very, very early. You could have made some very, very big gains. And those who got in a little bit earlier, some insiders, and equally those who continue to try and trade it back and forth, you know, you could have made some significant gains. But I stayed clear of Trump for the pure factor that it was you know, the top wallet, which I deemed as Trump's wallet. 80% of Trump tokens were allocated to that wallet. So, you know, that's a dumpster fire to begin with. It soared up to, what, 15 billion, now down to 2.3 billion. It's come down significantly. But the reason why, you know, despite this, again, for me being a relative dumpster fire, what happens in the future, cannot say for sure. You know, if Trump wants to do well, then maybe it will. You know, we can debate that. But the reason I highlight this again, because Trump's releasing the World Liberty coin, and we saw this massive run up and then a massive bleep. We saw it, you know, half. It came down 50% from, you know, rugging almost here, because Trump's wife released a coin and a lot of the capital switched from Trump to Trump's wife, which happens in these DJ markets. In the DJ markets, on these DEX and stuff like that, you'll see an asset saw multiple X's and then it'll get quickly dumped because the next best narrative comes on top of it. You've seen it with there was that kid that ended up scamming a lot of people. He released a quant coin that he stole like $30,000 off people, and then he released a second one, and people who just don't learn their lesson decide to buy into that one as well, and he fucked up again. You know, it's ultimately people are trying to find a new narrative. You've got, you know, Peanut, that squirrel that Elon Musk was saying, like talking about, because, you know, he got the squirrel got put down by the FBI, and you saw derivatives of Peanut coming out. You know, Peanut with a hat, which is a play off, you know, dog with a hat, with. So that's what happened. That's why the 50% correction came down. But the reason I highlight that again, because this launched, you know, just before Trump's inauguration, 20th of January. Look at Bitcoin in that time. 20th of January, you're looking at around here. That's when you saw Bitcoin come back, you know, all the way up to April, but from the actual significant correction, you saw it into about February time. You saw it from here, 1st of January, or 20th of January, coming all the way up, and then started coming down gradually, all the way down to, you know, February, like down here. But you saw a massive liquidation. Ultimately, that's just Bitcoin. This Trump coin mainly affected the altcoins. You know, Bitcoin came down 27-30%. Alts bled. You know, Casper, in comparison, a similar time frame, you know, it came down, you know, 60%, 50%, because Trump's coin liquidated a lot of the altcoins. So I'm highlighting this now. It's not confirmation, but we saw what happened last time with Trump's coin, and we're seeing now Trump's apparently going to be releasing another coin. If you want to get into it, that is your own risk. I'm personally not going to. Didn't trust Trump's coin. Don't trust World Liberty's coin. I have no reason to. But I am now therefore expecting for what happened last time to be a similar event. Maybe not as drastic, because last time it was the first time people were either unaware or misinformed or just didn't pay attention to that fact. But you'll probably see another liquidation taking place, because people are going to be, like we are right now, or at least as I'm highlighting right now, concerned that Trump's coin liquidated a lot of the altcoins, caught a massive pullback, 50% in Casper. Even stuff like Sui came back massively as well during that time frame. You know, similar time frame, you're looking at 20th, which is around here. Sui came down 60% or so, or even like 50% again. So you saw a lot of alts bleed drastically. Trump's coin was a key factor to, not the only factor, of course, but a key factor to that. So with World Liberty coming out, that coin coming out, you might see a very similar scenario. So keep that in mind. That's one element, and again, that's coming out next week. So we may see Trump crash the markets next week. Another thing also comes from the bar chart here, where apparently Japan is threatening to dump US Treasuries holdings if trade negotiations don't go well. So it looks like it was to my understanding that Japan had already finished negotiations with America, or maybe that was India. I think India and Japan were both negotiating at the same time, and I thought both of them had come to an agreement, but apparently Japan have not yet. And now they're saying they're going to dump US Treasuries if it does not go well. And of course, that's going to be driving more FUD, and that also could be adding to why the market is bleeding today as well. So again, once more, tariffs and just Trump the influence they're having on the markets and the retail side of things is very significant. That's why when we say don't be emotional, be logical, logical also means playing on the people's emotions, understanding that these factors here, we know they're coming. And, while I'm not worried for the most part about how it's going to affect Casper going forward in the immediate short term, I am now on the mindset of, despite 10 BPS coming out in just 2 days, which is huge, I've been saying it time and time again, I don't necessarily deem 10 BPS as a price pumper. It is history in the making, and it's going to lay the foundation for so many more massive protocols and just tools and dApps to be built on Casper. But that in and of itself, I don't personally deem it as a price pumper. So for me, I do, even in saying that, I do still have optimism, and we'll find out more throughout May, but I still have optimism that May will still be a bullish month for Casper. How bullish, again, we could determine that. I'm hopeful that Casper will surpass at least 13 cents, 15 cents or so in May. I'm hopeful. We'll have to wait and see still. Still early doors, we're early on the 3rd day of the month. But it looks like next week could be potentially a tough time for the market, seeing Bitcoin, altcoins bleeding again quite heavily, Bitcoin dominant market, Bitcoin probably pulling back, maybe just say to 84k worst case, maybe hopefully 90k. But for me, as a thumbnail states, for me, this is a final shakeout as well. Hopefully then the next FOMC meeting, which is in 4 days time on the 7th of May, will be a hawkish one, indicating rate cuts coming out, because the unemployment data is good, so you don't need to be cutting rates because the economy is kind of growing, but it's stagnating at the same time. So more liquidity could be injected into the market, which would help out. And of course, Jerome Powell will be waiting on the next CPI data as well, which is going to be coming out on the 13th of May. So 10 days time. Ultimately, the first half of this month is going to be a very volatile one, I like to believe. We have to wait and see. We might see a big pullback in the next week or two, next 10 days, and then second half of May, hopefully will look a lot more optimistic. Again, potentially following on this M2 supply. We can see the M2 supply kind of indicates that going into the latter half of May, you see a pullback in the first half of May, latter half of May, you start seeing make that recovery again, going up again. And then at the very end, going into June, it jumps up massively. So that's currently where the market looks like it's going. Bitcoin is following the M2 quite diligently, which is nice right now. Again, not 100% correlation, but a good correlation right now. So it's interesting to see. And, there's still a lot more interesting stuff that's been coming out today as well, in the macro or TradFi sector as well. With the fact that Warren Buffett, for example, apparently stepping down as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, which is by the end of the year, which is, he's a legend by all means. He's deemed as the oracle of investing. He's made his millions and billions and quadrillions. Like he's clear. He's stepping down now. I don't deem that necessarily as it's a talking point, right? It's a talking point, but it's nothing crazy. But so there might be some people who deem that as maybe a bit bearish because, he is the guy who knows the markets. A lot of people traded against Berkshire Hathaway. They follow what Berkshire Hathaway did with their own trading strategies. So now with him leaving, they might deem with the investment strategies maybe going a little bit awry. So we've got to pay attention to that as well. And then also in other news, which is very important, the European Union, EU, has officially passed an anti-money laundering regulation, AMLR, banning all financial institutions and crypto service providers from offering anonymous crypto accounts or wallets starting July 1st, 2027. So that is, 2 years away. It's quite some time away now, of course. But that does affect assets like these. Privacy coins like Monero, Zcash, and Dash. They will no longer be allowed to be utilized by crypto services or financial institutions in Europe. And Europe have got a very, very rigid and strict regulatory framework right now. They have been very, very tough. I don't imagine that every single nation across the globe are going to be adopting similar form of regulatory policies, but there won't be too much of a difference between them. America may not be that strict, but I'm sure they have some form of similar regulations, and therefore it will probably prohibit or restrict assets like these. So I know there are people who probably do hold Monero. I have people in this community I know who do hold Monero and they're bullish on it. But while it may not be a factor right now, because again, it's not going to take effect for 2 years, in the next 2 years, we're going to see a massive explosion and growth in crypto, adopted by the TradFi sector. This cycle is where it all starts, and it's going to snowball much more from here. And again, potentially leading to the potential of there not being a bear market or a typical bear market, because we're going to see an acceleration of adoption from the end of this year going forward. And assets like these probably, and we've been talking about it time and time again as well, it's been repeated time and time again that 99% of cryptos are going to zero. They're going to be cannibalized. The ones that will survive, the ones who are following the regulatory frameworks, that are, aren't copycats, that are trustworthy, these sort of, buzzwords that we use is what these institutions are looking out for. So Bitcoin, of course, will be fine. Ethereum, number 2, it should be fine, at least for the time being, but there are better infrastructure out than Ethereum right now. Stuff like XRP, whether you love or hate it, they have got a lot of regulatory governance. They partnered recently with Hidden Road, which is a prime brokerage, so they have got a lot of regulatory and institutional trust. So they're going to be perfectly fine right now. And you see many assets like that also do very, very well. Casper, for me, is equally going to be fine because they have the likes of the KRI who are building infrastructure right now to make sure that Casper and Casper projects are compliant with regulations while still being decentralized. They got, for the Gigawatt stablecoin, they've got, I think it's Gross. It's called Gross, which is allowing Casper to still remain decentralized and being compliant with regulations. So Casper's going to be fine in that regard as well. But assets like these, therefore, if you're holding these assets, it's just a forewarning. I'm not telling you to sell, you do as you will, but forewarning that assets like these will be prohibited. The new rules require mandatory ID verification for crypto transactions over 1 million euros and establish AMLA to directly oversee major crypto firms. So anti-money laundering authorities to directly oversee major crypto platforms. These assets, and there'll be many more like that are going to be liable. This article here from Zero Hash goes into more detail as well, which I'll be linking both of these in my free Discord server later on, to which you want to find out more. Regarding crypto and Casper, check out the free community, free public server here on my homepage and also down in the description. But this is again just highlighting the macro news, the fundamental news, the stuff that's not correlating to Casper directly right now, about how Trump may crash the markets next week. Tariffs are still playing a big factor on the markets. Japan have more than $1 trillion in treasury, so that is a very big deal. They have a lot of weight to negotiate that, therefore. Warren Buffett setting down is an interesting talking point. And now this, which again, while it's got a 2-year delay, the fact that it's been announced now is enough forewarning to you to know, and equally, those who are holding those projects are probably also relatively worried right now. Monero is not doing too badly right now, as you can see. Currently, 5.18 bill market cap. It's doing quite well right now, but you could therefore see Monero do a little bit of a rally, in the immediate short term, knowing that its days are numbered. It's me just throwing potential scenarios out there right now. Monero's been out for a very, very long time, but if, with us still being very, very early, if and the possibility of when we do see nations across the globe adopt similar form of policies to Europe. Europe right now are leading the policies. They aren't the best policies. Japan have got their own stuff they're trying to do right now. America are trying to do it as well right now. UK are very strict as well. There'll be some that are more lenient than others, but if people start adopting similar policies to Europe, because Europe right now, they're leading it. So ultimately right now, there's actually a scenario where other nations are watching Europe to see if their regulatory frameworks are working. They'll adopt similar ones, which does also therefore threaten the likes of Tether, because Mika, for example, their stablecoin regulations for Europe, they do not allow Mika. A lot of exchanges have actually delisted USDT. They not allow, Tether. Mika does not allow Tether. Therefore, there's a lot of exchanges right now who are delisting Tether. At least they're based in Europe. So if other nations start seeing Europe's one working as, what would be beneficial for them, you'll see a lot of these other assets like Monero therefore falling off. It's not me trying to throw fun into the wind. It's me trying to get you as the researcher, as your own researcher and investor, to walk on the side of caution about assets like these. These sort of informations and these news sources are relevant to all of us. We should always be trying to look out for them. And this also, yes, this could also have an effect on Casper as well. While Casper's staying true to regulatory frameworks, while being decentralized, it's still going to stay true to regulatory frameworks thanks to the KRI, so it should be fine. But again, right now, the biggest factor we should take into account is not just TA and project fundamentals, it's also macroeconomic and political fundamentals, like these policies coming through. That's what also matters right now. That's what we've got to do. We've got to determine to judge where these assets are going to go in the future to come as well. So that is just a word of warning once more, what has come to the market, and ultimately keep doing your research. And then of course we'll get into some Casper news real quickly as well. Before we get into that though, we'll get into some more questions. Once more, welcome back, Paddock, my brother. Did you see video who said Casper will 10x this month? I did not see that video. And if I'm being perfectly frank, without even seeing the video, I can say with quite massive confidence that's not going to happen. I have no basis of that. So I am intrigued to find that video that did say Casper's going to 10x this month. But for me, chance of that is little to none. It's not impossible, but it's little to none because the catalyst coming out this month, I don't deem as 10x worthy. You're saying $1 Casper this month. With Casper still struggling to break out of 10 cents range, with us being down from 20 cents for well over 9 months now, with a lot of people who are holding Casper right now very frustrated and just want to sell around these zones here so they can at least break even or take a bit of profit. First and foremost, we're going to try and break above here, which would be a very, very tough level of resistance. And once we do that, then it might be a bit easier to start rallying. But 10x for Casper this month, I think is just click farming personally. If it happens, fantastic. I say I'm wrong. I would love to be saying I'm wrong, but for me, that is little too impossible for Casper right now. Virtuals go back up well, and the AI agents have already up, and frankly, I'm going to put a little in. Oh, virtuals, yes, I remember you guys mentioning virtuals a while back as well, actually. Yes, virtuals protocol here. Virtuals is the Ethereum AI agent infrastructure type thing. One of the first ones actually, and it's done very well. Yeah, it's had a very nice run up since again, similarly, kind of mid to late April actually, had a very nice run up recently. Is up last 7 days, up 50%, which is very nice. Up 200% in the past month. 3x in value, very, very cool for virtuals here. 1.1 bill market cap. It's got a lot of good listings as well. I mean, yeah, AI agents, I've been, those who follow me in this channel, equally those who are part of the VIP group, how big AI is going to be. Equally, some of the sources I've been releasing a little bit recently from that VIP group to leak a little bit of information has once more touched on the significance of AI and what they're looking at. So virtuals does stand to be in a very strong position right now, being one of the leading AI agent infrastructures. I believe it's on the Ethereum protocol, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was on the Ethereum protocol, and I think it then bridged to then be adopted and accessible on Solana as well, which is a great move for them because Ethereum right now is struggling a lot. Yeah, so entirety of AI agents, Base and Solana now. Yeah, it was just Base originally, and now it's on Solana as well. So that is good for virtuals, therefore, and that's probably why they're also doing a lot better because, Ethereum is, again, days for me are numbered. But yeah, I mean, virtuals look like a very, very strong asset, and it's one AI agent. But then there's going to be many, I'm sure, that are decent AI projects and AI agent infrastructure projects or platforms that I think are deemed to research into. Virtuals, I think, is one of them. So yeah, nice shout there. But very, very nice shout. Sui is bullish flag for Sui. I mean, Sui is doing, for the most part, quite well. Sui has done a very, very nice, again, nice rally from its bottom down here, 7th of April, 2x in value. It's going through a pullback. Right now, for the most part, we are still in a Bitcoin dominant cycle. So I mean, again, all these projects here, they have their own fundamentals. Sui has a lot of the VC backing, so it can, by that regard, just pump a lot easier than other assets. But for the most part, I think most, if not all assets right now will be following Bitcoin. Casper is the only one that I'm more clued into to know that it's a possibility it may do a little pump against it, purely because, again, a lot of their big developments, 10 BPS coming out in 2 days, stablecoin infrastructure opcodes coming out at the same time, smart contracts coming out similar time frame as well. So we could see some mini pumps from that regard as well. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Sui is doing, very well. It's currently down only 3%, but again, from that bottom down here in April, so in the past month, or so. It's still up almost 2x from there. It peaked above that earlier. So Sui is doing well. And again, Sui is one that I think will do very, very well going forward. I did see a video, I haven't watched it yet, published by Coin Bureau, which said that Sui's got a 10x potential from here or something like that. Or I think it was something like that. And, you know, I'll watch the video and determine that for myself whether it's true or not. But, I mean, Sui is one that's going to, again, proof of stake, love or hate it. I'm not necessarily trustworthy of Sui because, again, I like the idea of actually having true decentralization and ownership of my assets. But I do see Sui as a good hedge for the cycle because institutions are adopting Sui quite strongly. I think truly 2025 has an immense bull run left, but I personally believe there will be a recession in 2026. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, honestly, really. We really do, because people have been calling it a recession for years and years and years now. Obviously, right now, we are closer than ever before. Right now, we've had one negative GDP, quarter GDP, so if we get back-to-back, that's a recession. Recession confirmations come from back-to-back correlating negative GDP growths. So, you know, possibility of that, definitely. I think you'll definitely see some more crises ahead of us, especially as more of the infrastructure starts shifting to crypto. You will see many financial institutions and banking, payment infrastructure, and all these stuff. You'll see them collapse. Businesses will go out of business. Well, you'll see a lot of them collapse. A lot of them. Yeah, I mean, how soon we don't know yet. How soon we could say within the next 10 years, but how soon exactly we don't know yet. But I think 2025 has a lot more momentum left, and 26 we'll have to wait and see. If Casper had VC in it, would you have still invested in it? It's a good question. Probably, but I wouldn't be as bullish. Because what makes Casper so unique is not just due to its incredible infrastructure, it's because it's also truly decentralized and fair launched. Because there are a lot of projects out there who also have / claim to have incredible speeds. Casper has that coming out, in a few days, has that and then some, with it being decentralized and secure, which is the added benefit to having more trust and ownership over my assets, as opposed to, the XRPs, which they have got very fast confirmation times or something like that I've seen. They claim to have very fast confirmation times, but they are heavily centralized. Over 50% of their supply is owned by insiders. So, by that logic, they can just take all their assets out and that will liquidate you all, crash the asset. So the answer to you, basically, short is yes, I probably would have done, but not as much. It wouldn't be my biggest holding right now. I don't know what would be. Right now. It'd probably be Tau or Sui. I don't even know, actually. About Casper, I have no idea. My strategy would have changed completely. $1 USD Casper, $1 Casper, I think is a possibility. It could be a possibility. Soon enough. Seeing it this month, I think it's a bit much. I'm excited for June and after. It's going to be epic, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. There's a lot of big stuff coming out following June as well. More QE likelihood, rate cuts, regulatory frameworks, and then of course what Casper's building as well. Is a lot more coming. And then you think about tier 1 listings, well, all that sort of stuff. June onwards, I think, is going to be very, very big. Or, June, July onwards, going to be very, very big. Check Casper chart, 5 minute, maybe it will bounce and dip. I mean, I can. I don't tend to look at the like really small time frames too often because I just don't feel I'm not day trading Casper. 5 minute charts are good if you're trying to day trade Casper. If you're trying to day trade Casper, you use fire. Day trading, you use these indicators. Sorry, use these time frames if you're trying to day trade Casper. Otherwise, there's not really a need to be looking at that. And I don't day trade Casper. Right now, it's holding around 9.5. It's dipped down there on 3 occasions. But you're seeing it dip down there. You're seeing the wedge forming, right? You got this here. It's forming right now. So it's going to probably continue going like this, therefore. And then have a breakout around here. It may break below. Maybe it'll stay strong and start going up a little bit. I don't know. But that right now, it's just consolidating in this zone right now, down this wedge. For me, again, the short term Casper's coming down. It is what it is. I'm not too fussed about it. I tend to just stay on the day chart. because that's all I really need to pay attention to when I'm holding Casper as an investor, not a trader. And I see that Casper, is coming down. It may continue to come down from here, following this sort of pattern down here. But again, it depends on Bitcoin. It also depends again what's happening next week, because what's happening right now in Casper, for all intents and purposes could just jump to 15 cents tomorrow, let's just say. But then as Trump releases this and it starts liquidating the markets again, you'll see Casper come back down straight away. Casper as a project is fantastic, but other fundamentals weigh so heavily on the market. It doesn't really matter how great Casper is right now. Right now, the macros and the other assets weigh in as well. So you've got to pay attention to that. I think even we'll be surprised. I think the pump will be better probably next cycle than Ethereum's run up. Oh yeah, I think Casper's pump is, I think people are I think that's the best part as well, which is, I say best part, quote unquote. Everyone's now become overly bearish on Casper. Overly bearish, which I get why. It's obvious why. It's been very lackluster for a long time. People are very frustrated. But because everyone becomes overly bearish, it could therefore do a massive run up bigger than we expect as well, Tony with the $5 donation, thank you very, very much. After Ethereum went to proof of stake, I was out of everything except Bitcoin until I found Casper. Everything else is fake garbage. And I mean, you got a strong point there, Tony. And that's again what I was saying. If Casper had VC backing, I'd probably still be in it because it's got very, very strong infrastructure and, very fast. It is a very, very fast layer 1. So it's great. But if I had a VC backing, I probably wouldn't be in it. Or I wouldn't be in it as heavily. Because again, VC backing, insiders, is just not what you want to be a part of. Casper's benefit, its biggest benefit and its biggest trust comes from its fair launch nature, decentralized. So everything else therefore has that disadvantage, and Casper therefore has the best chance and the only chance now to solve the trilemma. Because it's fair launch. It's not claimed decentralized, it's truly decentralized. Because it had no insiders. So yeah, Ethereum had a strong standing until it went proof of stake and then it ruined itself. And people have been hating Ethereum for a while now. Everyone's moving away from Ethereum. What's up, all in, bro? Hope you're doing very, very well. Welcome back to the channel. Johnny Taco, brother. Let's go, Casper. You know it indeed. Before I get to more of the questions, I'm going to actually. I see one more here from Kenny. Hi, Quick Crypto. Why would Trump have impact on the crypto market? All I am seeing is Sailor buying a lot of Bitcoin. Basically, when it got to Trump's inauguration, which was around here, we saw a massive dump in Casper, crypto, like everything. Everything came down massively from Trump's inauguration. And that was mainly due to, it wasn't only Trump, but it was mainly due to Trump. Basically, Trump is releasing his World Liberty coin next week, apparently. And the last time Trump released a coin, it was the Trump coin. And that launched around his inauguration, pumped up from, roughly 3 billion, where it says here, up to 15 billion in like a day or two, and then liquidated everybody. And this run up here caused all the liquidity from the altcoins, particularly, some for Bitcoin as well, but mainly from the altcoins, to get sucked out of the market. And then, it got rugged, and then it's been going on a steady downtrend since. So from that historical element there, with Trump coin liquidating the whole of the altcoin market, and now he's going to be releasing another coin next week, there's a possibility, therefore, that despite Sailor buying more, that Trump's going to end up liquidating more of the market again. It may not be as drastic as last time, because we're kind of forewarned to it, if you will. But there's a possibility, therefore, that when Trump releases this World Liberty, you may see alts and Bitcoin, and people just want to be like, oh, if Trump releases an asset, he's going to want to do well, therefore, so let's just go and buy into Trump's new coin. And therefore, you'll see a massive bleed, potentially, in the market. You saw what happened. That launched inauguration. Casper in a similar time frame came down 43%. Sorry, that's the wrong. That's wrong there, right here. Came down 50%. Sui similarly came down. Where was it? From here? Yeah, from here. Came down 50%. Bitcoin. That came down 25, 20, 30%. So we just have to wait and see. That's just my thesis right now. Again, it's not. This is just based on what we've seen in the past. 3 months ago, 2 months ago, when Trump launched his coin. So Trump has a drastic impact on markets. This is going to be one factor to it, but equally, whenever he talks about tariffs, it's not as bad now because tariffs have been priced into the market, but beforehand, when he talked about tariffs, the markets were very, very negative to it. Trump has a lot of influence on the market, so whether you like or hate Trump, you've got to listen to what he says. Right now you have to, because what he says has a drastic effect on these markets. If he came out today and had, physical confirmation that the war between China, the trade war is over, markets would explode. If you see this deal fall through, and therefore a backlash between Japan and America, you'll see probably a massive liquidation again. So we've got to pay attention to this stuff and what Trump's doing as well. Michael Saylor is, buying more Bitcoin, buying the dips, but he's not, the person keeping the market up, if you will. The people who control the market is not Michael Saylor. It's Trump and, the other insiders. But before I get into more of the questions though, I'm going to get into some of the Casper news real quickly so we can see here, just kind of get into the stuff here. Crypto Aspect, who, just for a little bit of background on the guy, he's now working on Project Sparkle for Casper right now, so one of these smart contract protocols. And he also, I believe, was one of the founders of Litecoin, if I'm not mistaken. And he came to Casper, so that is, quite big in that regard. And he said here, over the last 2 years, I've witnessed incredible performance, engineering efforts by some of the brightest minds in the industry. With about a day and a half to go into crescendo, sit back and enjoy the ride. We are extremely close now to the crescendo hard fork. If you type in on your web browser, if you're using web browser, kas.live, you'll come to this website here, which shows you the timeline, the visualizer for how close we are to 10 BPS activation at 3 p.m. UTC, which has got 42 hours remaining now and 46 minutes. So we are not far off at all now, which is really, really good to see. Very good indeed. So we're not far off at all. Michael San highlights here, obviously a few days back now, big crescendo momentum in permissionless distributed systems, showing that a multi-leader consensus real-world system can achieve block time shorter than global internet round-trip time (RTT) without artificially suppressing the peer-to-peer network size or assuming proximity. So for us civilians here to understand what that means effectively, he's effectively saying here that in just 3 days' time, something big is happening in the world of decentralized computer networks that anybody can take part in. It will show that the system with many leaders can agree on things and record them faster, and that then it takes information to travel around the internet. So even with the large networks of computers spreading across the globe, Casper is going to become internet fast money in the next 42 hours or 43 hours right now, which is very, very cool. We are on the cusp of, a significant game-changing upgrade. Game-changing. It's not going to cause a price pump necessarily, but it's still a game-changing upgrade. And Casper even posts here, 2 days left. One of the frequent questions they've been asked is, will there be a change in UTXO mass storage size/rates? Answer here is UTXO are expected to behave the same in terms of size. They will be produced at a much higher rate because there are 10 times more Coinbase payments, therefore 10 times more Coinbase UTXOs produced per second. Again, to understand a little bit more, those who don't understand what that means basically, is saying that in simple terms, Casper will be creating new digital coins more frequently, UTXO more frequently. This encourages more people to support the network, which can lead to a stronger and potentially faster system in the future. So it's like a factory, for example, Casper here, like a factory that starts producing its product, its Casper, its UTXOs at a much higher rate. More activity, more production, more growth, stronger overall operation. Casper about to go through a game-changing upgrade. And we can see here, Casper report, post a visualizer here, and a thread once more. But highlighting, I'm not going to go through the whole thread, but highlighting here, yes, in just hours, Casper is going to be jumping to 10 BPS. And this is a visualizer of what it looks like right now, Bitcoin, and what's going to look like very, very soon. The sort of speed we'll see with Casper, which is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane stuff. And Elian here, or Fish Tuner, I'll say, highlights here an unbelievable 100 millisecond block time in a truly decentralized peer-to-peer system is happening in 36 hours. Do you comprehend? Bitcoin didn't take the necessary steps to secure a decentralized future for mankind money system. It did not dare to try and upgrade, so Casper did. That's one of the big things that, like Da Vinci Jeremy was praising Bitcoin for. It never went through a hard fork. But that was its own downfall. It didn't upgrade. It just faded into oblivion. Bitcoin has become incumbent. It's too slow. It's inefficient. It's fantastic and store of value. Not hating on Bitcoin, but it's not Casper. It can't work as a medium of exchange. Casper, a Bitcoin-like protocol, took one giant step after another into the void and landed its heels on secure ground time after time, unchaining us from a Bitcoin version 0.1 and launching us to Bitcoin version 1, and that is Casper. Give yourself a gift and educate yourself about the breakthrough Casper is making. And yeah, we can honestly thank God that Bitcoin Core decided not to listen to Son Polinsky and his mentor Viv Zohar, allowing us to therefore get into, as highlighted and deemed here, what Bitcoin should have been. So where you saw Bitcoin, X amounts of years back when it was only worth like $1,000 or whatever, now it's worth, almost 100k. So you could have had, that 100x potential from years and years and years back. You have this similar sort of situation right now with Casper. We're in at 9 cents. Really, really early. Some have been here since, the unfortunate of 20 cents. Some have been here longer, from the lows of 1 cent, half a cent, 5 cents. People have got their averages all over the place. But we are still here ultimately before the runoff and takeoff of Casper. 3 years old. Very, very early. And we are seeing so much more being built right now, which is also awesome to see. Something is brewing behind the scenes. Castle Wallet is going to be going on mobile very soon, which is cool to see. And they're asking what you expect from the Ultimate Casper Wallet on the go. So we're going to see a lot of these applications coming to a Casper Wallet, which is cool. Now we do have Tangent, so we don't really need this, but it's still good to see a Casper, native wallet, if you will, which is good to see all around. Obviously, if you have a Tangent, you won't necessarily need this, but it's good to see. And then equally here, Casway stated they've been silent for the past few weeks, maybe even months now, but that does not mean we're abandoning anything we're doing. Due to technical issues and limitations by Caspian, we decided to build our own wallet made specifically for payments, and guess what? It finally works, which is also really cool to see. You can see here, so going to put it on 2x speed right now. We can see here the sort of, the test they're doing right now, the Casper test like that, and it looks very, very good. Again, there are alternatives we have right now we can already use. So, we can try and use these wallets if you choose to. Obviously, you have Tangent wallets. Tangent's just the best. I'm not saying I'm not going to check these ones out, but, I have Tangent wallet. Tangent's fantastic. I don't think I really need to get a new one. But right now, for me, I've been using Casware. And I've been using, obviously, my Tangent. Those are my Casware is where I keep my KRC20. And Tangent's where I keep, all my cold storage of Casper and everything else there. And, stuff that I tend to trade more frequently as well. I have some more Casper on a Casper wallet as well. But again, we're seeing all these sort of, these like breakthrough stuff, brewing behind the scenes stuff coming out now. More wallets coming out for Casper. And again, stuff, announcements coming out just ahead of 10pps is also reassuring. You might see a lot of these. You might see multiple dApps being released at the launch of 10bps, or at the launch of more so the launch 10bps, followed by stables, and then followed by the public testnets from Caspex as well. You'll see them come out, and therefore the full mainnet launch shouldn't be too far off either. My hope is you'll see the public testnet coming out in May, and you'll see the mainnet for Caspex coming out in June, or maybe even late May. That's my hope, and that will be a great sign for early adoption for Ethereum dApps to build on Casper as well, and that could also help in rallying up more demand for Casper, and therefore the price as well, and might incentivize the volume to go higher, and therefore the tier 1 listing to jump on board with Casper as well. Currently it's got 74 million volumes, not the highest, but it's been saying that for a while now. We'll see it go up in due time. Dominated by the likes of Gate, 29%, then Mexi, 22%. Then you've got BitGet and Bybit, 9 and 8, which is not too bad. Again, Kraken's actually doing okay for once at a measly 2.3%, but it's doing better right now. Hash rate is going a bit stronger, still kind of lackluster, but at 1.07 extra hash. Hope you'll see a rally up in due time with 10bps activation very, very soon. More miners being released as well. Time will tell. Holders wise, you can see here more people are jumping into Casper. 523,000, 523,500, and Wallet 2 has bought more 1.8 mil Casper. Very, very good to see as always. Hoping there's going to be a Binance listing very soon. Therefore, if they keep stacking more and more and more. and the node shift is at 99.5%. So right now, all things are lining up for Casper, looking very reassuring, and with the inevitable price rally for Casper this cycle, with more listings coming through, a lot of these assets are going to be resuscitated as well. Nacho, Kango, Caspi, Wolfie, all these other assets, Conan. Again, there's a lot here. I think they'll do very, very well in the near future. Casper, of course, seeing a correction, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, the markets are crashed and not doing best today. I think Trump's again playing tactics on the market, and I think his imminent release of World Liberty Coin could also crash the markets as well. But I have to wait and see. This is also going to be quite an interesting thing as well. See how these assets react to, seemingly them on a death clock right now. It might be their final market, therefore. You might see Monero have its final run and then just fall off. We'll have to wait and see. Indeed. What's up, brother? Casper Diamond, you know it. Absolutely. I think it's all going to be fine. Just chill. I mean, potentially. I'm simply just highlighting historical data. Last time Trump launched his coin, we saw the markets liquidate. So I'm stating this time around, I'm confident that it won't be nearly as bad, because first time round was the first time. This time around, people are going to be wiser to the fact. But there's still a possibility you'll see the market get liquidated because people are going to jump. People who thought, just like this guy here, he got in on the Trump coin, but people who thought, I missed out, or I lost money on Trump coin, they might be like, okay, I'm now going to try and make sure I learn from my mistakes and do it with World Liberty. So you're going to probably see a liquidation event of some sorts. I don't think it'll be terrible, but you never know. And just for, again, nitpicking, the terminology of crash means anything over 10%. So in that regard for Casper, therefore, from this composition, a crash is only down to 8.3 cents. Or even like 8.5 cents. So if Casper jumped to 8.5 cents, that would be a crash for Casper technically, from where it's at right now. Bitcoin's a lot more. That'd be much worse. Crash for Bitcoin right now, I'd bring it down to, 86k. Which even then, that is 10k off from here. Like, crash is a buzzword, and it sounds very, very scary, and it is very scary. But like, terminology-wise speaking, crash just means 10% or more. Rug is like in this very short time frame, like 90% type thing. But crash just means 10% or more. So if Bitcoin came from where it's at right now down to 86k in the day, then that would be a crash. But on the grand scheme of things, that's not terrible. We saw a lot worse here when Trump launched his coin. It was a gradual pullback in the markets. I mean, Bitcoin, it didn't really liquidate Bitcoin much because it more so affected altcoin. But at the launch of Trump's World Liberty coin, this is the launch of World Liberty here. Casper came down 20%. Back-to-back crashes from World Liberty coin launch. Sui on a similar time as well. Sui didn't have back-to-back as bad, but the first day it came out 10%. So you saw a crash on the launch of World Liberty. Not World Liberty or Trump coin, but now World Liberty coming out. It won't be probably as bad, but it's a possibility you still see a pullback of, or maybe even a crash of 10% on these altcoins. So again, it's not trying to cause FUD. That's not the reason for me highlighting. It's just again trying to raise awareness to make sure that you're prepared, and therefore you are, developing your strategies accordingly for what's happening in these cycles right now. Casper, Tau, Sui is all you have to hold in 2025 bull run. I mean, those are very, very strong holdings. Those are three that I do hold myself. They are very, very strong. I think all have a good chance to do very, very well this cycle. Sui will be a very big gainer. Tau AI be very, very big as well. Casper, just for what it is in its general decentralized, a lot of stuff coming to it. Casper will also be huge. So yeah, you can get away with just holding those three if that's what you want to do. There are multiple other assets out there, or equally you could just hold Casper. Again, it's completely up to you. But those are three assets that I believe have got a good chance this cycle. Casper will be the biggest FOMO event to date. Because now we have financial institutions that will buy tons. Oh yeah, I mean, possibly not any time in the very, very, very near future. This cycle possibly, and the years to come most definitely. When they realize they cannot avoid Casper, it's inevitable you cannot just simply avoid them. But I mean, yeah, you'll see. Casper is going to be definitely one of the biggest FOMO events, ever in the future to be. I actually hold these 3 coins. Oh yeah, these 3 coins. I mean, yeah, I hold them as well. I think those 3 are very, very strong assets to hold right now. I think the markets are looking good for those 3 assets. Who is Japan going to dump the US Treasury holdings to? I mean, it's a very good question. I mean, you might argue maybe China. Maybe China does it to have more influence and more bargaining power with America as well. But again, who are they going to sell it to themselves? Again, it's tough to say. I have to wait and see. Again, this is their power play. Whether it pays out or not, we don't know. But this is just another possibility of, again, the tariffs and therefore the sentiment weighing on the market. But for me, that's the more so reason why Trump could crash the markets again next week, because that's going to be launching next week. Are chaos things like Nacho going to migrate over to smart contracts? Yes. Not the EVMs, the ZK ones coming out in Q3, Q4. They will do, yes. Do you think other smart contract tokens can claim the number 1 spot as a layer 2? There's always a possibility. I want to say Nacho's going to reign supreme because of the lore behind it. You know, Nacho being Shy's cat, being one of the first ever Chaos 20 memes as well. I would like to believe Nacho is forever going to be number 1, but if there's somehow a meme that comes out that just gains more... Again, memes are... I mean, some of these memes seemingly do have some use case. Apparently, Nacho has some form of use case as well. I have not looked too much into it, but they have some use case. But ultimately, memes are purely community and cult driven. So if the community in this sector deem that the next meme, and I don't know whatever it might be, the next meme is going to be the Messiah, then yeah, they'll go for that. But right now, I'd like to say it's a possibility, but I'm skeptical. I think it's going to probably always be Nacho. Still holding strong, as you should do. So tired of the orange felon crashing the markets, but I'm staying logical, putting emotions on the site, keeping my eyes on the price, as you should do, Mila. Yeah, I mean, don't let whatever's happening in the macro or geopolitical side of things, whether it be China, Japan, Trump, don't let it affect you. Ultimately, nothing's changed. It's just understanding that short term this is more pain, but long term be bigger gains therefore. Obligatory comment for proof of life here. Amen, brother. Might want to take on that. We need to get to the GRP to get that and visit Jay. I mean, hey, we'll do a whole celebratory party. And it's used to be when Casper makes us all rich. We'll meet up somewhere. I'm going to have to come to America, though, because I think all of you guys are American, or majority of you are Americans. In our world without privacy, Monero is hero, but we need... we need, but don't deserve. I mean, again, I don't know too much about Monero, full disclosure. And Monero is doing okay right now, but again, EU right now are passing laws. And you've got to understand that, again, 99% of cryptos are going to zero. It's not speculation, that is fact. That's going to happen. 99% are going to zero. And those who aren't compliant with regulations will be the first to go. So Monero right now is doing fantastic. And it could do extremely well this cycle, I'm sure. But if EU are passing this in the next 2 years, and other nations adopt similar policies, Monero is going to be in trouble. And it's going to probably go to zero. So, again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm not trying to fud Monero. I'm trying to raise awareness to what's happening. It's not Monero. Again, there's many more out there like that as well. You know, Monero, again, you've got Monero there. You've got Zcash, you've got Dash. You've got many others there as well that are, similar situations where you could see, consequences for them. Consequences. So you just got to keep that in mind. Again, it's not going to happen anytime soon, so it'll probably do fine this cycle. It might do very well this cycle. It might do better than everything else this cycle because people deem it as the last cycle it's going to have. But after that, who knows? This administration has stated privacy. It's enshrined in our values, and it's just important as crypto, as real life privacy coins stay. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, that's what I said. EU've got a very, very rigid and restrictive mindset for laying up policy for crypto. So it might give them restrictions in EU, and there may be other nations that also adopt similar sort of protocols. But for the most part, America seems to be a little bit more lenient right now, which is good. So that should be fine for Monero, therefore. But it's just highlighting once more that EU right now are the ones who are leading the regulatory charge, and they aren't. To be fair, I do think EU are going to struggle because I think they are being too restrictive. I think they're literally trying to do what we currently see with finance, trying to do that to crypto, and it's not going to work. You can't adopt those policies in the current financial system onto crypto. You can't do it. It's too much, and you'll see a massive rebuttal from it. So I don't think it's going to work. But I'm sure you see some trying to adopt similar stuff, but at the same time, right now Trump and his administration seems to be more lenient, so it should be fine. But it's just highlighting again that EU right now could cause some problems. I do believe what Monero would have been second after Bitcoin, if not all the suppression. I mean, again, I don't know too much about Monero. I've not looked too much into it, but I have heard people being very, very bullish about it. And I mean, right now, I think Ethereum right now is still like confident that's number 2. It won't be for too long though. Ethereum is going to probably Ethereum's going to get challenged this cycle. I believe that much at least, probably by XRP or Solana. Going to get challenged this cycle. And then after that, going into the next cycle, Ethereum will fall off, I'm sure. I'll quit smoking if it's $5. Oh, if it's $5, I'll go bald. I mean, yeah, I would go absolutely crazy. I'll do a face reveal. If Casper reaches $5 a cycle, I'll do a face reveal. I'll say that now. Because I'm not against doing it, but at the same time, I'd be surprised if that happens. It's not out of the possibility, so it's actually a good possibility of that, but I have to wait and see. Europe isn't leading anything. Their policies are garbage. When I say leading it, I mean they're the ones they're taking the first step. Leading doesn't mean they're doing the best job, but they're taking the first steps. They're the first movers. I guess it's a misconception. When the terminology of leading has been lost here, I'm not saying they're leading because they're doing the best. They're the first movers right now. Mika's the first form of regulatory things we have around the world. So the lead of that guard. They're not great policies. They're not. They're terrible, actually. But they're leading. Hopefully America, though, with the power they have, when they release policies that are actually more favourable for crypto, you'll see other nations adopting similar ones, because America's one should work out. If America releases their policies and they work out, which they should do, you'll see countries adopt America's one over Europe's. Okay, well, thought so. About to say, my chat started lagging, so I knew it was going to crash again. And there you go, it's just gone. I'm going to reload it real quickly. How much have I missed? Quite a lot of questions. Okay, well, I won't. Okay, I can't even go far back enough. That's fantastic. I love YouTube. I really, really do. Where was I in questions? We Moon yet? Not yet. Wing Hong, brother. Not yet. By the way, Casper, Mantle, Hyperliquid, and Monero are the only coins in top 50 which are not listed on Binance. It's already quite a feat to be in top 2039 without a coin based on Binance listing. Yeah, it's insane. Casper not having any of those top tier listings besides Kraken while being a top 29 asset is insane. And those will likely be, Binance definitely, Coinbase I can't say much, I can't be as confident about because they're normally very, very late, but Binance will definitely come out the cycle. Do you think we will see the first big bull pumps? I don't. I think we'll start seeing a lot of big bullish pumps over the next couple of months. I want to believe. Again, how soon I can't say for sure, but over the next couple of months, I believe we'll see them soon enough. From Jad here, yeah, I think we'll see it in the next couple of months. Anything's possible, but I just think a $250 billion market cap is just a bit much. Like the early assets that have reached that, has Solana even reached that yet? If not, it's definitely going to. No, so Solana's peaked at Solana's only got half of that. I think XRP got like 150, right? Yeah, so the only assets so far that have surpassed that is Ethereum and Bitcoin. So for me, I just don't see. And again, I would love to be proven wrong. I'm not trying to again spread follow Casper, but and we're going to see more institutional adoption than ever before in this cycle as well. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. You could see assets just explode higher, but we've only seen Ethereum surpass 250 bill market cap. So for capital to reach $10, it's got to reach similar. Actually, I think it'd be 260 bill now. $260 billion market cap. I just think it's a bit much for capital cycle. If it happens, again, it could happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, because a lot of these assets are going to jump up massively. You know, you might see top 10 all being 100 bill plus. But again, we just have to wait and see. I'm a bit skeptical about that. I think $10 is a bit much. Quant also is a very, very strong ISO 20022 asset as well. For you, why the clown of Grayscale have list and removed this Casper? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why Grayscale have listed and then removed Casper continuously. I'm not particularly that bothered by it. I think they're going to inevitably list Casper in the future. Someone told me that apparently the oil list, it was Casper Silver, said that apparently the oil list took in the top 50. So, but that logic, Casper will be added back in due time, and Mantra will be removed. But yeah, I don't know right now. I don't know. You agree with me that McDonald's fries are so bad that Burger King is better than McDonald's? If not, I just like your life. I don't really eat McDonald's or Burger King very often, brother. I'll be honest. I don't get takeout that often. I normally just cook my own food. Grayscale like marathon hot air to make the undersided sell. That's also could be the answer to that as well. Do you prefer to meet an alien or Satoshi Nakamoto? Nakamoto, really, I guess. Maybe someday we'll see 1000 BPS upgrade. That would be a pipe dream. I think 100 is probably the max, but I mean, who's to say otherwise? I think what we're going to probably see is, in a rough timeline, we'll see what's coming out this year. 32 following that BPS. You'll see on the strive and mission to make 100 BPS, you'll see quantum resistant stuff being built for Casper as well. And then you just see it just spiral from there. I think they want to delay the bull run until the set of regulation in August. I believe that as well. I've been highlighting that as well. There's a possibility they might delay it a little bit more. So you might see Bitcoin and that lot kind of, again, in correlation to the M2, start to rally up a little bit. You know, going into like, but delay the bull run in the sense of, you know, like this M2 already has Bitcoin going up to like 130k. Like that's not high, and that's by July, end of July. Regulators will come into play around here, and that's when you could just see it's just doing like that. And then talk about USQE as well. Like we'll have to wait and see. It's because big boys nowadays are they are paid to shield projects, and of course no one's paying these people to shield Casper. You know, big boys get big from obviously doing the diligent stuff, like, you know, I guess we're doing here, and they make a really, really big founding for themselves, and after that they kind of just use that channel to just as a money farm. You know, people will come to them to talk about certain projects, and they'll just accept commission and just talk about it. Which, you know, I've highlighted again in the past myself. I've had similar sort of offers and I've turned them down because I want to stay true to my community, because the community makes the channel anyways. So I won't shill stuff that I just don't have any belief in. But yeah, no big boys are talking about Casper really. That's not a problem though, because eventually they will talk about it. Not because they're shilled to do so. Or they might be. You might see some tier 1 shilling them to do so. But because they know they need to jump on that bandwagon. My question is how smart contracts will affect KRC20s. So the EVM smart contracts won't really do much, but the ZK opcodes, Project Sparkle, that will make these KRC20s into smart contracts. So what that means for them, I can't really I can't really explain, but it means that they're currently just chaos 20, but they'll migrate to becoming smart contracts themselves with ZK opcodes coming out. So what's up, Casper Keyboard? You're doing very, very well. Welcome back to the stream, my man. Caspian Wallet has been out. Yeah, I had been out for quite some time, so I don't exactly know what they're referring about here. Apparently it just has limitations with them, so they've made their own wallet. It could be they actually had limitations there, or maybe they're just trying to again throw wind in the throw air in the fan or whatever, just to try and cause some form of again, because it's competition, right? They're trying to, they're trying to basically compete with Caspian, therefore. But is what it is, right? Intercapper mining from $0.0003 mining on my 360 Ti's, August 2022. Damn. Yeah, you're flying, ghosty brother, and even you, Tony. You both are doing absolutely insane. Lol J saying Sui just sparked my. You know what I mean? I say it myself, man. I actually have to turn my phone off or put it in a different room when I'm talking about Sui, because that also goes with my Sui as well. Only TV can save us now. I disagree. We're not in a bad situation just now. We've been in worse this cycle already. We're better off now than we were, a month back. And arguably, we were worse here. Even though it's higher price, I'd argue we are a lot worse. There was a lot more FUD here than there was here. Right now, this is just exhaustion. I don't think we're that bad at all right now. I think I'm optimistic more than anything right now. And I've always been optimistic, but even more so now than ever before. International leading people down the wrong path to chase power control. It's leadership, it's sociopath. When I mean leaders, I mean first movers. I'll say it that way. Maybe not leaders, but the first movers. And, hopefully other nations don't adopt similar form of policies, but if they do, then that could spell trouble. But they are first movers, and there is a benefit. Ethereum is where it's because it's a first mover, so it is a benefit for being a first mover. And it can be problematic, because Ethereum is now problematic, so you're about to witness a fall of the EU because of the anti-crypto policies. By the time they wanted it to be too late, probably. I think it's possible as well, but again, it's just being the first mover gives them that advantage, but again, it could be also their downfall. You probably see Christine Lagarde step down because she has been very she's very anti-Bitcoin, which, she's very anti-crypto actually. They didn't want anything at all. So what we wait for the bull run, we need money printing. Money printing, as Casper, is definitely one of the good catalysts that will help in getting the markets to start running again. And we will get at the cycle. I'm confident about that. At least I believe we will do. But just to highlight again, in Trump's first term, very, very first term, this 2017 bull run, there was no money printing, there was no QE, there was no rate cuts. And we still saw a parabolic run in Bitcoin. So we don't need that. Of course, it's been massively helpful. Most definitely we'll get that alongside regulatory policy as well, but we don't need it. And that will definitely be, I think, QE rate cuts will be another leg up for crypto. The bull run in the kind of the grand scheme of the word of what it will mean for how much capital we'll see flowing in will be after regulatory frameworks come in, probably around August time. And then how much longer we'll have to wait and see. Again, I'll highlight that we may not just see a 2-3 month pump because institutions are going to want to spend some time actually building as much capital as possible. So you might see it over the next 6 to 8 months. Therefore, it might go into 2026. Who knows? But with that being said, that'll be it for today's Casper and Crypto live stream. As always, if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone once more for joining and tuning into the stream. If you want to learn more, check out the free community here. Equally, the VIP group we talk about more. Haven't talked about the VIP group at all today actually, but it's available there. 7-day free trial there as well. If you want to find out more about the VIP group, go check it out. Link down in the description. Also on my homepage as well. From weekly live streams, real-time sell alerts, all this stuff here. There's a lot more to come indeed. So definitely go check that out. And welcome back, Alyssa. Unfortunately, you're just catching the tail end of the live, but you will feel free to watch it on playback. and hopefully all had a very good day so far. But that means have a great day, good evening, and good night, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care now.